Long before the universe came into being, before earth, before humanity, before time as we know it, there existed only God, the Eternal One, the Supreme Creator, utterly perfect, entirely sovereign, and eternally glorious. Out of his own will and wisdom, God created the heavenly realms, and with them a multitude of beings known as angels, pure spiritual entities created to serve, worship, and glorify him. Among this celestial host was one angel unlike any other. His name was Lucifer, meaning light, bearer, morning star, or son of the dawn. He was a majestic being, described in the scriptures Ezekiel 28, Isaiah 14, as full of wisdom, beauty, and splendor. If ever there was a created being who shined with brilliance and favor, it was Lucifer. He was not a minor servant in the ranks of angels. He held a high, honored position. Many theologians interpret biblical symbolism to suggest that Lucifer may have been an archangel or even the chief of worship in heaven. He was clothed in jewels, described as walking among the fiery stones, indicating proximity to God's presence. His creation was flawless, no flaw or evil existed in him. He was made to reflect God's glory. And yet, something happened. A fracture appeared in his heart, not from God, but from within himself. Lucifer's downfall began not with a sword, but with a thought. A thought rooted in comparison, ambition, and pride. It was a silent rebellion that started long before he took action. Scripture unveils it this way: "You said in your heart, I will ascend to the heavens, I will raise my throne above the stars of God, I will make myself like the Most High." Isaiah 14, 13-14. What began as silent pride quickly grew into cosmic rebellion. Lucifer, overwhelmed with his own beauty and power, stopped worshiping God and began worshiping himself. He wanted more than status, he wanted the throne. He wasn't content being second to God, he wanted to be equal or even superior. This marks the first sin ever committed, and it wasn't murder or theft, it was pride. Lucifer's pride became contagious. He began influencing other angels, twisting truth, sowing doubt, and planting the seeds of rebellion. Eventually, he led a third of the angels to rise with him. These once pure beings chose to follow Lucifer's deception rather than God's truth. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought back. But he was not strong enough, and they lost their place in heaven. Revelation 12, 7-8. Lucifer, now referred to as Satan, which means accuser or adversary, was cast out of heaven, along with his followers. These fallen angels became what we now call demons. The great war in heaven was over. God, through his angels, expelled them. But here's the question: if God is all-powerful, if Lucifer had betrayed him, if judgment had begun, why wasn't Satan destroyed then and there? Why did God cast him out instead of annihilating him? This is the question that stands at the center of our discussion, and it brings us to one of the most misunderstood mysteries in theology. At first glance, it seems simple. God should have just destroyed Satan. But God doesn't act reactively. He is never threatened. And above all, God doesn't just exercise power, he reveals truth. If God had immediately destroyed Lucifer at the moment of his rebellion, what would that have accomplished? Yes, it would have ended the rebellion, but what about the questions it left behind? What if some angels were still unsure who was right? What if God seemed like he was simply eliminating competition? What if fear replaced love in the hearts of angels? Would creation obey God from love, or simply because of terror? God didn't want to win by force, he wanted to win by truth. By allowing Lucifer to continue for a time, God allowed the full consequence of rebellion to be exposed before all creation. This wasn't weakness. This was wisdom. Because the rebellion wasn't just about Satan versus God. It was about truth versus lies, pride versus humility, self-exaltation versus divine submission. Interestingly, the Quran captures a detail that even the Bible doesn't emphasize directly. After Satan Iblis was cast out, he didn't ask for forgiveness, he asked for respite. He said, "My Lord, give me respite until the day they are resurrected." Allah said, "So indeed you are of those reprieved." Surah Al-Hayr 15:36-38. This idea that Satan asked for time and God granted it shows that the delay in his destruction is intentional. Satan still has no power except what God allows. Why would God allow him to exist longer? Because God is letting evil reveal itself fully. He's letting the whole universe watch what happens when you rebel against his rule. And once all has been shown, judgment will be final and eternal. God doesn't just destroy evil, he exposes it. He doesn't just silence liars, he lets the lie fall apart under its own weight. And he does this not because he lacks the power to crush, but because he wants creation to understand. That way, in the future, for eternity, no one will ever question God's justice again. Every knee will bow not just out of fear, but from clarity, because they've seen the truth unfold over time. This is why Satan still exists. This is why he wasn't destroyed on day one, not because God tolerates him, but because God is using him as the ultimate warning sign to the rest of creation. You and I live in the middle of this cosmic drama. We were born after Satan's fall, but before his judgment. We are not just observers, we are participants. This war affects us, tempts us, tests us, but it also invites us to choose. Whose side are we on?